Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
In the squadron, they called him Bullets, but we call him Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly is on the air
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
All right, we're back. I'm seeing more and more video, this time from the Israeli Defense Forces. These missiles, these bombs with little cameras on them go right to the target. We ride it all the way in, and it's pretty cool. Now, we've had some of this technology for a long time. Some of the airplanes that are flying have been flying for 50 years. Some of the airplanes involved have been flying for 70 years. There are B-52 bombers over Iran right now, B-52. Those things first flew in the 1950s. It's totally insane. It's cool. It's not to say it's wrong or anything like that. They have massive capacity. They've got great endurance. They're very, very strong. They can take a hit. They're also very big, and to some degree, they're very, very vulnerable, but they keep updating the avionics. It's like taking an old car, right, like an old Ford station wagon, and you put in a new transmission, and then you keep updating the dashboard and the electronics, right, to the point that if you lift the hood, a Ford from 1975, if you put a modern engine in it, would be totally unrecognizable. It's kind of like that. But it's still amazing that we're flying a B-52, a 70-year-old airplane. The F-15 is 50 years old. The F-18 is is more than 40 years old. And then again, we have brand new technology as well. Some of these artillery missiles, some of these one-way kamikaze drones. Diplomats claim Trump's special envoy undermined Iran talks. Give me a break. Whatever Steve Witkoff was doing, it was for the betterment of America. These guys have had it coming for so long. Do me a favor. This is Admiral Cooper. He is a 4-star admiral. He is the head of Central Command. Central Command is the Middle East, essentially. It's interesting. They're headquartered in Tampa, Florida, but their AOR, their area of responsibility, is the Middle East. And here's the Navy guy taking us through the entire operation from top to bottom. Are you ready? Go ahead.
Good afternoon. I'm Admiral Brad Cooper, the commander of United States Central Command. In this capacity, I lead U.S. military forces in the Middle East. I'm here to provide you an update on Operation Epic Fury, now in our 4th day of execution. First, I'd like to express my deepest condolences to the families and teammates of the extraordinary Americans who've been killed in action. And I'd also like to extend our prayers for a speedy recovery to the wounded. Yesterday, you heard from Secretary Hegseth and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs. Today, I'd like to give you an operational update on where we are and provide you with some key facts. By order of the President of the United States and the Secretary of War, our military in the Middle East is undertaking an unprecedented operation to eliminate Iran's ability to threaten Americans, as they've been doing for nearly half a century. Having spent more than 36 years in the military, I could not be prouder of America's sons and daughters in uniform who are answering the call. More than 50,000 troops, 200 fighters, 2 aircraft carriers, and bombers from the United States are participating in this operation, and more capability is on the way. These forces bring a massive amount of firepower, representing the largest buildup by the U.S. in the Middle East in a generation.
Hey, hold on one second. One second. We may be running low on the bombs. All right. We've been shooting so many missiles, dropping so many bombs, and unfortunately, we gave so many of those damn bombs to Ukraine, right? And a lot of them are flowing all over the the world, actually. We gave weapons to Ukraine, and guess what Ukraine did? Didn't keep a good eye on them. And some corrupt Ukrainians actually sold those weapons, and some of them found their way to Iran. It's interesting. Some of the weapons that are coming at us are our weapons. Anyway, keep going there, Sailor.
Hours of Operation Epic Fury, U.S. Central Command forces, together with Israel, delivered overwhelming and unprecedented strikes into Iran. Many of you may remember the shock and awe strikes of 2003. The first 24 hours of this operation were nearly double the scale, and we continue with 24/7 strikes into Iran.
All right, stop. This is the second time I've heard one of these guys compare what's happening now to Iraq in 2003. That's not a good comparison to make. All right, shock and awe. I was shocked. No weapons of mass destruction and no Saddam Hussein for a year. That's what I remember about shock and awe. And oh, by the way, being in an armored vehicle in the desert on my way up to Baghdad, almost getting killed a couple of times. Keep going, though, Admiral.
And cyberspace. Now we're less than 100 hours into this operation, and we've already struck nearly 2,000 targets with more than 2,000 munitions. We have severely degraded Iran's air defenses and destroyed hundreds of Iran's ballistic missiles, launchers, and drones. And in simple terms, we're focused on shooting all the things that can shoot at us. Our B-2 bombers and B-1 bombers have executed uncontested surgical strikes against multiple missile facilities deep inside Iran. And then just last night, a B-52 bomber force struck ballistic missile and command and control posts. We are also sinking the Iranian Navy, the entire Navy. Thus far, we've destroyed 17 Iranian ships, including the most operational Iranian submarine that now has a hole in its side. For decades, the Iranian regime has harassed international shipping. Today, there's not a single Iranian ship underway in the Arabian Gulf, Strait of Hormuz, or Gulf of Oman. And we will not stop. We will continue to conduct dynamic targeting operations. We're hunting Iran's last remaining mobile ballistic missile launchers to eliminate what I would...
All right. Thank you very much. Kind of drones a little bit, and that's okay. That's okay. He didn't really go any further than Hegseth did the other day, but Hegseth and General Kane were at the podium this morning, and the secretary there, Secretary of War, offered a very vivid kind of take on Iran's situation right now.
We will avenge them, no doubt. But I liken Iran's predicament to a football team who scripted the first 20 plays of a game. The team knew what plays to run because their first few drives were scripted. But now that the game has started and the blitz is on, they don't know what plays to call, let alone how to get in the huddle and call those plays. Iran's senior leaders are dead. The so-called governing council that might have selected a successor, dead, missing, or cowering in bunkers, too terrified to even occupy the same room. Senior generals, mid-level officers, enlisted ranks, they can't talk or communicate, let alone mount a coordinated and sustained offensive. That's not great for morale. The Iranian Air Force is no more, built for 1996, destroyed in 2026. The Iranian Navy rests at the bottom of the Persian Gulf. Combat ineffective, decimated, destroyed, defeated, pick your adjective. In fact...
Well, that's good. That sounds pretty good to me. I wonder how much longer it's going to go on. What I'm hearing is now the most important target they took out wasn't Khamenei. It was the next guy below Khamenei, right? That really sends a signal that, we're not screwing around. They're going to have to go deeper in or lower down to get somebody to run the country. And hopefully that person's going to have a more reasonable and realistic approach and won't be committed to exporting terror and won't be committed to building these ballistic missiles and the nuclear. Also, this is not the only story in the world. The massive fraud that occurred in Minnesota, just staggering, billions and billions of dollars. We all saw those videos, right? Daycare centers that have no children in them and the rest. So Walz, the governor, soon to be, I guess he's going to be a civilian, right? It's amazing. If a few things happen differently, this guy could be president of the United States right now. Nancy Mace cross-examining him It's not only Waltz, but it's Keith Ellison, the attorney general there. Really corrupt guys, in my opinion. Do you have that, please? Nancy Mace doing her thing. Go ahead.
How much money was spent on autism in Minnesota in 2017, Governor?
I don't have those numbers in front of me, Congresswoman.
Did you prepare for this hearing today? Did you do any preparation
I take
for this
Congress
hearing today?
seriously.
And you've seen the numbers about autism fraud in Minnesota. So we're going to do some Minnesota math with you today, okay? Are you ready? How much money was spent on 2017 for autism in Minnesota? How much?
I don't know. I wasn't the governor.
Okay. Did you not just say that you prepared for this hearing today? $1 million, okay? A quick Google search or using your AI could tell you $1 million was spent. How much money was spent on autism in Minnesota in 2024?
I don't have the number in front of me. As
Were you governor in 2024?
I was, but I'm not the
Okay,
head
so
of
your
HHS.
excuse before that you didn't know what 2017 autism numbers were because you were not governor, and today you can't answer the numbers about 2024 as governor, and you still said you prepared for this hearing today. It's unbelievable. $343 million was spent in 2024. What percent increase is that from 1 million to 343 million? What percentage increase is that?
I'm not here to be your prop. Go ahead and tell me.
Well, are you governor of Minnesota or not?
Yes, I am. I'm not.
Well, when I'm
not a
governor of
prop for a
South
member of
Carolina,
Congress.
you can sure as hell bet that I'm going to know the math. The math is 34,200% increase, an increase of 343 times what it was in this time period. Do you know the number of children in Minnesota?
I know that Minnesota ranked as a top 3 state for children in the last year.
What is the total population in Minnesota?
5.7 million.
Okay. What is the total population of children in Minnesota?
I don't have the number in front of me right now.
Are you governor of Minnesota?
I know 400,000 were cut out of health care last week by the actions you made.
Are you governor of Minnesota?
I am.
And you don't know the number of children residing in Minnesota?
I don't have the specific number. It's 5.7 million.
That's your total
population.
What is your age?
What is the age? 0 to 5? 0 to 19?
You have approximately 1.2 million children in Minnesota.
What
I'm not
age?
even governor of South Carolina. Our population in South Carolina is 5.5 million. We have approximately 1.1 million children under the age of 18 in my home state of South Carolina, okay? As governor, I expect you to know this information. Thank God you're not vice president of the United States. Do you know approximately how many children in Minnesota are autistic or on the spectrum?
No, I don't have that number.
Okay. Well, if you take the CDC's roughly 1 in 36 kids are on the spectrum, we're talking about approximately 33,000 kids. In South Carolina, it's about 31,000 or so. What is, do you know what this is per child?
Hey, hold on real quick. She is running for governor of South Carolina, by the way. That's why she keeps talking about South Carolina, and I'm going to know that as governor. She's running. Good for her. Is she needling him a little bit too much? Quite frankly, I do think he should know these numbers. You know, if you're Mr. Minnesota, you should really know this stuff. You know, one thing my dad had never did while he was the head of the NYPD, let me get back to you on that number. I don't have it. He had everything about that department, everything about this city. But see, these guys are not really into that component of the job. They really like the fun of campaigning, the money raising, and all the rest. The governing, as you can see here, they're not interested. Keep going.
In the fraud for autistic kids in Minnesota.
Again, I'm not here to be your prop. Go ahead and tell us.
Is doing Minnesota math a prop? This is math. We're talking about fraud.
Minnesota ranks at the top. Where does South Carolina rank?
We're talking about money.
Where does South Carolina children rank on healthiness?
These are my questions for you. It doesn't go the other way around unless we're debating on the debate stage. And we're not.
If you're asking questions about being governor, it does.
I'm asking you
when you're
questions
governor,
about
you can
being
come
governor of Minnesota, which you can't answer. This is basic math. And you can't even answer. Do you even care about kids in Minnesota?
They rank near the top in every category. My children are fed. My children are housed. My children have
getting
health
the
care.
services they need in Minnesota.
My children have the best schools.
I don't know, man. I think Nancy just probably took it a little bit too far. You know what I mean? Okay, you made your point, but hey, it's politics. Waltz, though. I mean, he should have a better command. All right, what are we waiting for? We're waiting for Carolyn Levitt is going to come out. It's a full house down there. Let's see. Here we go. Let's dip in. Okay. The press secretary in Washington, D.C. in that briefing room, which, oh, by the way, used to be a swimming pool. And as we wait for the microphone to be turned on, All the people who are fighting in Iran right now on our side get extra pay, hazardous duty, and combat pay, and they deserve it. All right, she's still adjusting her microphone. We're going to take a quick break and be right back with this hot info. Be right back.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best our nation has to offer, especially when it comes to health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families' health. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
Greg Kelly
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Man, she is ripping into Iran big time. You guys asked for this. Caroline Leavitt, White House press secretary. Go!
A torpedo for the first time since World War II. There is not a single Iranian ship underway in the Arabian Gulf, Strait of Hormuz, or the Gulf of Oman. Number 3. Operation Epic Fury will ensure the regime's terrorist proxies in the region can no longer destabilize the region or the free world and attack our armed forces. And thus far, Iran's proxies are hardly putting up a fight. Number 4, this mission will guarantee that Iran can never obtain a nuclear weapon. It's safe to say that thus far, Operation Epic Fury has been a resounding success. American forces have struck more than 2,000 targets, destroying hundreds and hundreds of ballistic missiles, launchers, and drones. As the Department of War said this morning, we expect to have complete and total dominance over Iranian airspace in the coming hours, clearing the skies for our brave warriors to continue achieving these noble and long sought-after objectives. There's been a lot of misreporting and intellectual dishonesty from the American media on why President Trump decided to launch this operation. So let me remind you, Operation Midnight Hammer, which took place last June, obliterated Iran's 3 major nuclear sites. Yet the terrorist Iranian regime has remained fully committed to rebuilding its nuclear program. How do we know this? Because Iran has pursued this path of war and violence despite President Trump dispatching 2 of his top and most trusted negotiators to engage in exhaustive and good faith negotiations to try and reach a deal. And the world knows this president's preference is always peace and diplomacy first. Look no further than the 8 additional global conflicts he has ended in the past year as proof. Unfortunately, the terrorist Iranian regime refused to negotiate in good faith. They chose this path of violence and destruction, and they are reaping the consequences of their horrible decision. The regime did what they always have done. They lied, they delayed, they tried to string the United States of America along. They wanted to buy themselves time to continue building ballistic missiles and other deadly weaponry that could harm our U.S. personnel and troops in the region, and to continue aggressively pursuing their unacceptable nuclear ambitions. U.S. negotiators offered to lift crippling sanctions on Iran and even provide nuclear fuel to Iran at no cost to support a civil nuclear power program. They additionally had the opportunity to accept U.S. support as an investor in potential projects to develop peaceful nuclear energy together under a mutually agreed upon framework. Yet in response, Iran would have to forfeit their enrichment capacity once and for all. But Iran rejected. They accepted none of these generous and unprecedented offers by the United States.
I must say, when she first got the job, I'm like, oh boy, I don't know, but she's fantastic. Clear, unmistakable, right? Excellent job. Iran, give it up.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hey, while all this stuff is going on, Kristi Noem is on Capitol Hill, and oh boy, they're laying into her about Corey Lewandowski. Corey Lewandowski is a senior advisor and veteran of the Trump campaign in 16 and 20 and 24. Very controversial. I think it's safe to say he's somewhat erratic. He's been known to kind of get into weird scuffles all over the place. And look, the word is that she and Corey Lewandowski are having some sort of inappropriate relationship, i.e. they're sleeping with each other. That's what people have been saying for a long time now. Now, this is not particularly important, although I would also say it's not particularly smart on their part, either part. But so her husband is right there. Her husband showed up for this hearing, possibly to get them to not ask that question, but they're going there. They are going there. There are more questions about the plane, and there's a report that somebody got fired for losing her blanket. I don't know. Sometimes these people get these jobs and they go crazy. Sometimes. It has happened before. I see it more on the Democrat side. They get a job with a little bit of power, and they're right to the, do you know who I am? Some guy got arrested in New Jersey during a DUI. Do you know who I am? I'm the deputy chief of staff. I'll never forget my dad telling me a story when he was a cop, a patrolman. He's in his car, and a group of patrol car, and a group of kids pull up next to him in a car, teenagers. And one of them says, hey, this is Chief Callahan's son. And he said, what do I care? Get out of here. Hey, while you're getting that together, I want to hear what Jackie Heinrich is saying. She's always up to something weird. Pump up the volume, please. Back to the briefing.
And that we expect their help home, and we will do that, and we will not rest until every single American is returned home safely.
Thank you. And then one follow-up just on how people might be experiencing this at home. With respect to the economy and the cost of oil spiking, is there a need to start those Navy escorts in the Strait of Hormuz now to sort of blunt the impact to people? And also, because Spain is a member of the EU, does that at all put a wrinkle in the president's plan for a trade embargo with them?
With respect to Spain, I think they heard the president's message yesterday loud and clear. And it's my understanding over the past several hours they've agreed to cooperate with the U.S. military. And so I know that the U.S. military is coordinating with their counterparts in Spain. But the president expects all of our European allies, of course, to cooperate in this long sought-after mission, not just for the United States, but also for Europe, to crush the rogue Iranian regime that, again, not only threatens America, but also threatens our European allies as well. With respect to oil prices and the economy here at home, of course, this is something that Secretary Bessent, Secretary Wright, the National Economic Council of Energy, that is led by Secretary Burgum, has been long working on and well in advance. Yesterday, President Trump announced the U.S. Development Finance Corporation will provide political risk insurance at a very reasonable price for crude carriers and cargo ships operating in and around the Gulf. And as you pointed out, Jackie, the president said if necessary and when appropriate, the U.S. Navy will begin escorting tankers through the Strait of Hormuz. I think it speaks to why this action was so necessary, that ultimately the energy industry is going to benefit from the president's actions with respect to Iran, because Iran will no longer be controlling the Strait of Hormuz and restricting the free flow of energy, which, as you all know, controls 20% of the world's global oil supply.
I've been through that Strait of Hormuz. It's very, very, very small. It's a little bit of a bottleneck. And when we went through there, we were on high alert, right? There was a real sense that Iran was going to harass us or do something nasty. All right. Fortunately, got through there unscathed. Now they are being scathed. They're being big time scathed. All right. I want to go to another side of Washington. Kristi Noem, Homeland Security, is on Capitol Hill. All right. This is getting a little bit juicy. I have no problem with how I do actually have a little bit of a problem. I think she's too into the hair and makeup and the optics, and not enough into the mechanics of the job, the drudgery of doing the job. For instance, remember those National Guardsmen who were shot and killed by the Afghanistan man? Well, that guy, if Homeland Security were really on it, They would have been following President Trump's executive order and identified a refugee of that nature, and they would have probably already deported them or at least put them on notice. Instead, he was free to run around the country and open fire. And there is something there. Homeland Security kind of dropped the ball on a lot of President Trump's executive orders. You know, these things are not just, oh, watch me, I signed an executive order. These are not just media opportunities. These are orders. And even an alleged loyalist like Kristi Noem, I could see not taking that too seriously. Oh, the boss wants something? Whatever. We'll get to it eventually. Where's my Homeland Security jacket? Don't I look hot? All right, pick it up. This is, I do not like him. Raskin, Jamie Raskin. You know what he looks like? Forgive me, but have you ever seen a porno movie from you ever seen a porno movie back when they were actually doing acting? He looks like an actor in the porno movie, right? Like playing a lawyer or somebody like that. And all they do is they wear a suit and you're supposed to, right? He looks like a lawyer in a porno movie right before the action starts. All right, hit it.
Taxpayer funds to lease a third jet, a $70 million luxury 737 MAX with a queen-size bedroom in the back, a deluxe serving bar, and 4 flat-screen TVs. A big, beautiful jet paid for by the big, beautiful bill. Yesterday, under questioning the Senate, you said you plan to refurbish this jet to make it into this kind of airplane, which is what's actually being used for deportations in order to save the taxpayers' money. In other words, you're saying that's actually a deportation plane. But wouldn't it have been cheaper just to buy a deportation plane in the first place? It's like buying a Rolls Royce to turn into a Metro bus. I was almost prepared to buy that story of how the jet was both for executive travel and mass deportation. And then I heard about an airborne episode of entitlement, arrogance, and contempt that I could hardly believe. Apparently, when your special blanket, your blankie, was left on one of the government jets and not transported over the new one, your special government employee, Corey Lewandowski, chivalrously stepped forward to fire the pilot midair, a 2003 Coast Guard Academy graduate and distinguished U.S. Coast Guard commander in Air Station, Washington, D.C. But then he had to be rehired immediately because there was no one else who could fly the two of you on the rest of the journey back home. Secretary Noem, you're flying high now, maybe even a little bit too close to the sun. But with all these free planes and houses and pilots, you've traveled a long distance from your actual job and the things you should be doing as head of Homeland Security. Your agency is charged with protecting the homeland. It includes FEMA, TSA, the Secret Service, the Coast Guard, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, as well as ICE and CBP. Yet you've hollowed out the national security mission. You redeployed thousands of people responsible for tracking terror financing and fighting cyber threats to go work on your mass immigration roundup. You reassigned to the roundup agents working a key national security probe into Iran's terror financing, paralyzing that investigation. And to run what's left of Homeland Security's ruined terrorism prevention office, you actually installed a 22-year-old intern whose chief listed qualification for the job was that he had participated in a model UN club his junior year of college. Through FEMA, you're supposed to provide disaster relief to our communities. Yet last summer, as floods devastated central Texas and killed 135 people, including 25 girls and 2 counselors at a Christian summer camp, you withheld crucial support.
Well, does she get to say anything? I'd like to hear from her now. Hey, she really... That's tough. That's tough. You know, some of this stuff, he's not wrong. I'm sorry. She has been flying and enjoying herself and riding on a damn horse. I saw her ride on a horse right in front of Mount Rushmore in jeans and a hat. And I get it. Wow, you look hot. You look hot. Too much into the optics. How do I look? That's the country right now with Instagram. Don't I look cool? Isn't this amazing? Look at me. I can't stand that. Especially with the media, by the way. If everybody's looking in the media, in the mirror, which is social media in a way, I saw these reporters, they just document themselves and they look at the thing and they, oh, don't I look great here, there, and everywhere. And also government employees. There are certain White House officials who will remain nameless for the time being who have the most impressive Instagram. Very, very impressive. But when I look at those accounts, I'm wondering, are they doing the people's work? Or, I don't know, are they serving their vanity? You know, vanity is a very strange and powerful thing. Don't you agree, Matt? Is he there?
Yeah, I'll say it. Yeah, I'll definitely say so.
Oh, wait a second. This is Nat, not Matt. Nat.
Yeah.
Oh, brother. What are we going to do now? How much do you hate America? What are we doing wrong now, Matt? Nat, what's your beef?
Oh no. Well, before I get to that, speaking of vanity, I noticed that Jasmine Ratchet got defeated in the primary.
Yeah.
Down in Texas, so that's a relief. I would hate to see her have the Senate as a soapbox for these ghetto tirades she goes on from time to time. But anyway, moving right along. With regard to the war in Iran, I think that we should cease hostilities immediately.
No!
Bring the troops
Are you
home.
crazy? You see, this is what I mean about you. This is why I figured out you had a hotline to Russia. You've got some sort of hotline to Russia, Nat, whatever your name. All right? You're always undermining the cops. Now you're undermining our military and come home. What do you think is going to be I'm just curious, all right, for laughs. What would be accomplished? How does it serve our interests, America's interests, the country you live in, to call this thing off and come home right now?
Before it turned into an Iraq 2.0. Because, again, it's the same pack of lies we were fed by the neoconservatives in Iraq. Oh, he has weapons of mass destruction. He has he's a few months or a few years away from a nuclear weapon. He has missiles that can reach New York. And again, it turned out to be...
no one's talking about... look, this is so much better than 2002, 2003, right? In one night, we took out the leadership, right? How long did it take to get Saddam Hussein? Do you remember? He was on the run for almost a year, directing the insurgency every step of the way. This is a much smarter president. This is a guy, and by the way, with Saddam Hussein was actively engaged in a deception campaign, boasting about having WMD. He wasn't even denying it. He wanted everybody in the region to think that he had WMD. Anyway, yeah, that was a lie. This is totally different. This is President Trump ending a war. And the worst thing we could do right now is follow your advice. Nat, be honest. You're getting money from Russia. I know you are. How did you meet the Russians? How did you become acquainted with them first?
How did I meet the Russians?
Yeah, how did you, come on, I know you. You're on the payroll. You are on the, nope. You are so consistent. And there are some of you guys out there. It's part of an information operation. All right? I just want you to do me a favor. Make sure you're not breaking the law. All right? Because we got the FARA stuff and they can throw people in jail. All right? You got to register as a foreign agent if you're a foreign agent. All right? And I suspect you are. Thank you, though. I gotta do something. Hey, folks, I want you to know something. What the experts are telling me, and they're actually sharing this with everybody, that this flu season is the worst we've seen in years. Either way, you know how this goes. Every year, someone in my family gets sick. Then everyone gets sick. And suddenly you're fighting to see a doctor or stuck waiting in a crowded urgent care. Well, not this year. I am ready. I ordered a medical emergency kit. It has been a lifesaver. My kit is stocked with essential prescription medication, antibiotics like a generic Z-Pak to help recover faster, amoxicillin for pneumonia, strep throat, and ear infections, plus prescriptions for nausea, UTIs, and they've got ivermectin in there. It is simple. Match your symptoms in the guidebook or call the telemedicine doctor standing by. That's a really cool feature of this, by the way. Access to a doctor whenever you want. Start treatment early, feel better faster. No waiting rooms, no pharmacy lines. This is brilliant. I love my medical emergency kit, and you should get one too. I got you $45 off when you use my code, Greg. Just go to urgentcarekit.com/Greg. You get $45 off. urgentcarekit.com/Greg. Promo code Greg.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And I have returned. Man, they're still giving her a hard time down there. Caroline Levitt. I think that reporter there is from Playboy Magazine. Playboy Magazine still exists. How about that one? Playboy Magazine. Yeah, they still. For a while, they took out the nudies. No nudes in Playboy Magazine. That went over. Why have Playboy Magazine if you don't have nudes? Nudies. Let's go back to the fully clothed people in that briefing room in Washington, D.C., in the Capitol, in a little area that used to have a swimming pool.
Travel to these regions. We gave notices to leave immediately the countries where these Americans were within. And unlike the previous administration, we actually have a number. We actually have identified the number of people in the region who have requested help. We are in direct contact and engagement with them. And you have to keep in mind, there's a few thousand people who have requested assistance to come home in comparison to the millions who we understand are in the region. So we will help every single American who wants to come home if they're making that request of the State Department.
Americans who called the State Department hotline as recently as last night were being told, we can't help you, you have to make your own plans.
Well, the line was updated, and I expect every single person in this room to report on that accurately so that information can be relayed appropriately to your audiences and to the American people. I think as journalists, you all have a responsibility to let them know that the line has been updated accordingly with the proper guidance, because I saw many people in this room very quick to do selfie videos with the line yesterday, but not so quick to report on the corrected message today. So that is something the administration quickly worked to address, and we have fixed that problem. However, we're also pointing to people to the website, again, to register so that we know exactly where you are. So when there are commercial flights moving into that area, when there are chartered flights moving into that area, we can get Americans on planes as quickly as possible.
Do you have any details on how many charter flights have been able to get out of the region so far with Americans on board?
I don't have an exact count for you, but I know that we're working on chartering many flights. As soon as we were doing it yesterday, we're doing it again today. And you should not expect us to detail exactly when these flights are taking off for obvious reasons. The Iranians have shown that they are not going to hesitate to target civilians in the region, which is completely intolerable. But for safety and security reasons, we're not going to be broadcasting when flights full of Americans are going to be taking off, obviously. Danny.
At the top there, you said that the Iranian regime is being absolutely crushed. Can you explicitly say then whether or not regime change is a goal of President Trump's operation?
The goals of this operation have been made very clear, Danny, and the president has said them in his speech when he launched this operation and released that video in the middle of the night to all of you and to the world. The stated military objectives of Operation
What the hell happened?
Skies, which means the United States military will be raining missiles and weapons down on Iran to hit these specific...
Real quick, this AI, artificial intelligence, is really fouling things up. There are so many crazy videos that I'm being sent that are wrong. And like, oh my God, look at this. It's so cool. Now, I can tell, but it's getting harder to tell. Somebody just sent me a video of a B-2 stealth bomber doing a flyby of an aircraft carrier. Now, no way in the world would that happen, number one. Number two, I can tell it's fake because the waves, and also if you really look closely, you can see the guys on the ship, right? And you got a B-2 bomber flying right at basically ship level, like incredibly low. And the guys on the ship are almost oblivious to it. They're not jumping up and down and yelling and screaming. B-2 stealth bomber flies by U.S. carrier in Persian Gulf to raise troop morale. The video is not it's not uncool, but it's definitely fake. And this is it's going to be tricky in all kinds of new and weird ways. You know, politically, let me see. They got CVN, 78. Is that the Gerald Ford? Let me see if yep, it's the Gerald Ford. They went to the trouble of finding the right aircraft carrier, which is intriguing to me, actually. But that's a fake video. Yeah, this is going to get harder and harder to do. For instance, the story about the children's hospital being bombed. I'm sorry, the children's school being bombed. I don't even know if that video is real, right? Did Al Jazeera just gin it up? Did Iranian state TV just gin it up? It's possible. It's possible. This stuff, man. Sometimes I wish we could just pull the plug on all of this AI. All right, there's the music. Be right back.
Thanks for listening to The Greg Kelly Show. You can hear The Greg Kelly Show weekdays at 12:15 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Rural Americans deserve access to the best our nation has to offer, especially when it comes to health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families' health. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.